you and Ram are going to
Guatemala.
Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. 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 Hare Shiva, Shiva Hari Om. Hare Shiva, Shiva Hari Om. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hari Om. Hare Rama, Rama Hari Om. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. Hare Durga, Durga Hari Om. Hare Durga, Durga Hari Om. Hare Kali, Kali Hari Om. Hare Kali, Kali Hari Om. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om, 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 Hari Om. Om Shanti.
Thank you for that beautiful chant. That's a new one to me, for me.
We could again just to kind of extend a welcome to everyone that's joining us. Great to see many people that we know and welcome some new friends. Probably most of you know Asokananda, the president of our institute in New York, and myself, Swami Ramananda, of the institute here in San Francisco. We're spiritual brothers. We love to share teaching together when we can. We're going to speak about this topic, awakening our hidden strengths. Please, Asokananda ji, let's hear from you.
Okay. Yeah, you do remind me how much an honor it is to share the stage, the Zoom stage with you. It's very rare we get to teach together, so I'm so happy we have this opportunity. Am I being heard okay? Thumbs up, thumbs down? Okay. So my guru, Swami Asokananda, and his guru, or our grand guru, Swami Shivananda, they kept things as simple as possible. Swami Shivananda said, serve, love, give, purify, meditate, realize. 6 things. And his disciple, Swami Asokananda, cut that in half. Useful body, peaceful life. Useful body, peaceful mind, useful life. But Swami Shivananda wrote more than 300 books on yoga. So yoga is a vast spiritual science. So when I hear people say, I did yoga twice this week, which means they probably took a hatha yoga class, 2 hatha yoga classes, or did it on their own, I'm concerned what yoga gets limited in that way. Yoga is fairly unique and that it gives importance to the body. Some spiritual traditions don't address the body at all. And the asanas have a tremendous beneficial effect on our physical well-being and also our energy and our vibration. Whoever came up with these different positions did a great service to the world. But the ultimate purpose of working with the body is to allow us to move beyond the body and give our focus to working with the mind. We don't really need to work with the spirit or the soul. Mind is where the work has to be done. The main text on Hatha Yoga, Hatha Yoga Pradipika, makes this clear that the purpose of Hatha Yoga, asana, pranayama, and the kriyas is to reach the goal of Raja Yoga, samadhi, or as Patanjali says, chitta vritti nirodha. The very first verse in Hatha Yoga Pradipika says, the purpose of Hatha Yoga is to reach the goal of Raja Yoga. Because they to take us to awaken our inner strength, to go beyond the mind and awaken our inner strength. And there's a reason that according to Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga system that asana comes after yama and niyama. It's actually not just a good idea to awaken our hidden strength until we have some purity of heart accomplished through the yamas and niyamas. Our hidden strength is hidden by the conditioning of our mind. It's in Sanskrit called the samskaras. We're utilizing the obstacle to our hidden strength to discover what's hidden. We have to use the mind, which is the obstacle. So there's a danger in that the mind could have its own agenda in the reasons for uncovering our hidden strength. So that even our attempts to move in a spiritual direction can knock us into our small individual ego consciousness. I think most of us face this problem at some point. I know I have. I grew up, as some of you heard, in Flushing, Queens. I was a rebellious kid. I always cringed when I had to bring my report card back to my parents because there was a category called conduct. And for so many years, unsatisfactory in conduct. I don't know if in your report card you had this in conduct. Unsatisfactory, the lowest thing you could get was unsatisfactory in conduct. I don't think I was a bad person. Maybe because of my parents were divorced, I got a little bit of a attitude. Once I got into yoga, though, a whole new, different set of samskaras were awakened. And it became, my early years, and for some time, it became very orthodox and rigid. And I did extreme things. Ego is attracted to extreme things. I really loved food, so I fasted. I got my weight down to maybe just a little bit above 100 pounds. Gurudev saw me, he said, you got to see a doctor. I went to the doctor. He told me I was suffering from malnutrition. I love getting a good night's sleep. So I cut my sleep down to about 3 hours a night. Just gradually cut it back till it was about 3 hours a night. And then my autoimmune system collapsed. And when I was 11, my parents got divorced, and I grew up with my dad and my brother. My other brother went to live with my mom. So women were a mystery to me. They seemed very attractive, but I couldn't figure out what they were. And I read in the Ramayana how Hanuman wouldn't look at Sita above her ankles. So I said, that's a good idea. I'll follow that for a while. A few years, I think I followed that. The problem is these extremes just made me more obsessed with food, sleep, and women. And I'll never forget the time when Gurudev saw me, he just shook his head. He said, where's the juice, man? You're a dried prune. People are going to look at you and no one's going to want to practice yoga. So I went from this kind of happy-go-lucky, liberal, atheist, to a super orthodox religious fanatic. And I think that fanaticism was further hiding my true inner strength for me. And unfortunately, over the years, they started putting me in charge of things. So my neuroses could spread and do more harm. I was asked to oversee teacher training in the pretty early days. And one fellow came up during the TT and said, I want to add this position to Surya Namaskar. Turned out to be Anjaneyasana. And I looked at him like I never heard such a ridiculous thing. Surya Namaskar is 12 movements. You're coming in, a new person to study yoga, and you're going to change thousands of years tradition. And then that night at Satsang, Swami Asokananda was answering questions. And there's a question about adding this pose, Surya Namaskar. I couldn't believe this fellow had the gumption to go over my head. And who would have said, I'm not sure what we're talking about. Could you come up on the stage and show me? So the fellow gets up on the stage. I'm glaring at him, giving him the evil eye. And he's trying not to look at me. And he shows Gurudev Anjaneyasana. And Gurudev says, yeah, that seems to work. Why not? And now nobody teaches Surya Namaskar with Anjaneyasana. It's just an example of how I was so set in my ways. And Gurudev, through the years, kept poking me not to be such a dry prune. What attracted me to the IYI in the beginning was the structure. I think the first day I got there in New York at 500 West End Avenue, there was a sign of the schedule: morning meditation, hatha yoga, scriptural study, breakfast, this thing called karma yoga. I didn't know what that was. But I said, wow, that's for me. And even to this day, I do love structure or rhythm in my life. I'm not known for my spontaneity. I think that rigidity and dependence on structure comes somewhat from being a Vata person, airy person, so I need to be grounded. And also, it's from the sense that I'm not someone with so much with natural talent. Like when I was a swimmer, I was a competitive swimmer. My younger brother had natural talent. He was a breaststroker. He was amazing. He didn't really work very hard. That was kind of hard on me. I worked really hard, and I got to a place where I was almost mediocre, but he was really shining. But my superpower is patient perseverance, a sustained effort. Keep plugging away at it, and you get good at it when you keep at it. You start to gain mastery over things. So when I had this interaction with Swami Asokananda a number of years ago, it was confusing, very confusing to me at first. I saw our ashram then was in Connecticut, and he drove into the parking lot, and for some reason, I happened to be there. And he looked at me and said, "You're not really trying." I think he just said that. "You're not really trying." I said, "No, Gurudev, that's my thing. Ask anybody. I really try hard." And he said, and I still remember this, and I hold on to this. I said, "Trying hard is your problem. You need to try soft." Like a Zen koan. What's the sound of one hand trying soft? Maybe I'll pause here. You have a paper and pencil, you can write it down, or just think for a moment. What does trying soft mean to you? Trying soft. But I think it's an important concept that we need in spiritual life. Maybe when we have time for sharing, you can share what you wrote. But take a moment to think about trying soft. How would you try soft as opposed to trying hard? I'm going to keep going now. You can consider this more later. One thing that helped me to try to grasp this trying soft concept is I'm a student of the Bhagavad Gita. And the Bhagavad Gita is a war that's about to take place. It's an allegory. Arjuna has some very deep-seated samskaras that are blocking his hidden strength and his experience of self-realization. And the thing about the Gita is I love the clarity about it. It says Arjuna's effort is not to overcome his conditioning. He's actually not capable of doing that. And we probably aren't either. His effort is to hold on to Sri Krishna, or the source, and with the source, deal with what's blocking his true nature. The thing is, our mental conditioning, our samskaras, don't make it easy to hold on to the source. They tend to move us away from the inside, moving us outward. So there is some trying that has to take place. I don't think we can go on this path without some trying. But what's clearer, and I think what Swami Asokananda meant, was that the trying is not to go head to head against the samskaras. That's where trying soft comes in. Right? We hold on to the source, however you think of that. And with the source, the source is powerful enough to overcome our deeply ingrained patterns, whereas our willpower doesn't have enough strength for that. A number of years later, Gurudev asked me to oversee the ashram. Then we had moved to Virginia. We did that for about 13 years. And being the head of an ashram, probably the head of any organization, means a lot of headaches, a lot of challenges, problems. You gain a lot of strength from that. But sometimes I couldn't muster up the strength. And one time I know I was really kind of struggling. And I called him, and he could see that I wasn't doing very well. And he said, in a kind of irritated way, so that's why I couldn't take it in at first. I thought, oh, he's reprimanding me. He said, "Do you want to take care of it, or do you want me to take care of it?" So I have to sit back for a moment. What's he saying? So he said it again. "Do you want to take care of it, or do you want me to take care of it?" "Oh, so you'll take care of it? What do you want?" "I want you to take care of it." Now that me or that you wasn't the person necessarily on the other end of the line. I still had to deal with the situation, and I still faced all the challenges, but I was able to kick back more. He said he'll take care of it. And now, probably at least 20 years later, I still settle back into that when I start to shake in my boots. So to wrap it up, I find that whatever I need to face, I still feel the fear coming up. Maybe that'll go someday, I don't know, but I still feel the fear. But I do find the strength to face it. And maybe it's still a little bit hidden, so I have to settle into myself to unveil it. But more and more, I find that I can express it. It's become like a new samskara in me. I try to, whatever I'm afraid of, let me do that. That goes to the top of my list. Let me do that right away. But thank you for letting me share some of my journey about uncovering my hidden strength. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. I look forward to hearing what Sri Swami Ramananda has to say.
Thank you, Asokananda. I love hearing your story. And
Thank you.
You and I have some similar elements to our own spiritual path.
I'm sure.
I also lost a lot of weight in the early days. And
You didn't have a lot to lose, but okay. Yeah.
had people telling me, you better see a doctor, something wrong with you.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'm getting paper and pencil. I want to take notes from your talk.
Mm. So I have a spotlighted Asokananda, but you can choose gallery view if you want to see everyone.
Oh yeah, I don't need to be spotlighted. Yeah.
So I'll share some of my own thoughts about this same topic. It's a challenge, no doubt, because our strengths, our hidden strengths, generally are awakened by some kind of resistance. Anytime you want to develop a muscle, right, you have to work. There has to be resistance, and that's what enables the muscle to develop. Right? So the strength is often developed through some kind of resistance or suffering. Right? If our spiritual strength that we want to awaken is freedom, is spiritual freedom, then that spiritual freedom is often won through feeling how trapped we are, right? How much we are in bondage. I take heart knowing that when we talk about hidden strengths, that implies that the strengths are there already, right? Which is true of our spiritual nature, that wisdom and unconditional love and the profound peace, that's all present within us already. So I appreciate knowing that it's not something that has to be gained or acquired, but awakened. And I usually think of sort of two ways that can happen. And Asokananda kind of talked about both of them. One of them is through suffering, facing some obstacle, facing some real challenge. And the only way to get beyond that obstacle or cope with that challenge is to face up to it and rise above it eventually. I like the analogy of the river that is then dammed up. When you place a dam in the river, you prevent it from flowing. Right? The nature of the river is to flow, But when there's a dam, there's no flowing, right? And for a while, that river backs up, right, and begins to form a reservoir or a lake. Right? That's the purpose of the dam. But eventually, when the river builds up enough strength, it overflows the dam. Right? So in the same way, we often face obstacles that seem like they're in our way. They're holding us back, but actually they're the very thing that's enabling us to build strength, to build our capacity to overcome that obstacle. I think I heard it attributed to Swami Ramananda. The obstacles are not in the way, they are the way. So that when we face something that really makes us struggle, something that we suffer from, like the loss of a loved person, that's a kind of obstacle that we face, or something that we really want, that we cherish, or a goal that's very important to us and that we can't achieve. There's so many things that happen in our lives that are beyond our personal control. Right? We're unable to manage things or arrange things the way that we want. And it's easy to fall into frustration, to anger, to simply rely on trying harder, like Asokananda's extremism. Just think that if we push harder and harder, that we'll overcome that way. But oftentimes what's really needed is for us to accept our limitations, to accept those losses, to accept the things that we cannot achieve or acquire. So to me, that's an important word. Right? There are so many different things that can happen. Asokananda, some of you heard earlier, spoke about his mother and how his mother has gone blind in her old age. Right? There's so many physical limitations that many of us might encounter. We all end up facing these things, and there are two ways to encounter them when we face these big challenges, these big obstacles. And one way is to escape from it, run away from it, right? Use drugs or alcohol to numb ourselves out. Or I was, as a young person, pretty good about staying away from drugs and alcohol, but I would just use cookies to numb myself out. Yeah, anything like that is a way of escaping, even TV, even social media. There are ways of escaping from the challenges that are facing us. Addictive behavior are often developed around escape from something that's too painful to face. But ultimately, in order to grow and experience our full potential, we have to face those things. And the first step is just accepting the fact that it's real, it's here. And as soon as we accept something, no matter how painful it is, it begins to ease up. Right? That's the first step. It becomes a little easier than trying to deny it or escape it or simply force our way past it. Once we accept that challenge, we have the opportunity to learn from it. But oftentimes it's, and this is where Asokananda referred to Arjuna and Krishna, oftentimes the way to overcome that challenge is by surrendering to it, acknowledging our limitations, and allowing ourselves to be guided by something higher, something beyond our limited ideas. I can share an example of that. I've shared before in the past when I think of this, that when I was living in New York, I was invited to lead a retreat in Ohio. And as the time approached towards the retreat, I was so busy, I didn't have time to prepare what I would speak about on the retreat or what we would do, but I was the main person leading it. And then I thought to myself, well, on the way there, on the plane, I'll work on it then. I'll think about it then. And by the time I got on the plane, I was already in such a bad space. I couldn't really focus. And, being on the plane anyway is a little distracting. And I didn't manage to come up with any good ideas on the plane either. So then I thought to myself, well, at least tonight, before the retreat starts tomorrow, I'll take some time and I'll focus on it. By the time that night came, I was even more anxious because we're starting the very next day. And I felt terrible that I was in charge of this retreat, giving talks and leading the retreat, and I had no real good ideas about what to do. And I saw what a bad situation I was in. So I couldn't really escape the situation. There's nothing I could do to get out of it. I guess I could have pretended to be sick or something like that. So I did what Asokananda suggested or mentioned that Arjuna did. I prayed. I just poured my heart out. God, Gurudev, please, you see what a mess I'm in. I don't know what to do. I need your help. I really put it all out there. And my experience with praying for guidance is that it only works if I'm willing to let go of what I want, what would be nice for me, and I'm willing to accept whatever is given to me. Otherwise, I'm still partly holding on to what I want, what I expect. And there's not that space for the divine message to come through, the guidance. So what my experience with Raja Yoga, Asokananda mentioned Raja Yoga, my experience with Raja Yoga, which is using your willpower to gradually control the mind, master the mind. My experience with Raja Yoga gradually brought me to my knees, to the point where I recognize I can't do it by myself. It's too much. My conditioning is too great to think that I can use the same conditioned mind to overcome that conditioning. So these kind of situations, like the retreat that I'm describing, brought me to that point where I had to recognize that. And in that moment of surrender, complete willingness to let go, and a sincere willingness to do whatever I'm guided, I always found the grace came. So I went to bed that night at the retreat without any good ideas. But I had a beautiful dream, and I felt the presence of the divine in the dream. And when I woke up in the morning, I felt completely relaxed. And I don't know, I felt really good. I felt like grace. And the ideas for the retreat just came very easily. And the rest of the retreat went fine. That's happened to me. I trust it's happened to many of us. Right? For me, it's my, and again, this is why I'm echoing Asokananda. For me, what comes naturally is just try harder. That's my way, right? So in that trying harder, I have to run into something that finally teaches me, no, you can't do it. You have to let go. But there's a beauty in that. What looks to be like a weakness, and this is tricky in our culture, because surrender has the connotation of like giving up. You're weak, you got defeated. Right? That's the typical way you use that word. But in this sense, surrender is a strength. Right? It's the ability to recognize the limitations of the mind and to invite the strength, the wisdom, the grace, the light of something much greater than the mind. Right? That's there within us. Right? That's already broadcasting its message if we tune in to the right frequency. Right? But we only tune in if we're willing to let go of personal preference, if we're allowing ourselves to be guided. What a great lesson that's been for me, to run into those moments when I recognize I can't do it by myself. I need the guidance. And I've learned that I don't have to wait until I'm desperate to pray for guidance. I can make that a practice, right? That's become a daily part of my routine. All right, let me be guided. Let me be guided. The other way, I mentioned two ways that we learn and that we awaken these hidden strengths. And the other way that I think of is we purposely create a whole spiritual lifestyle. Asokananda referred to the fact that teaching a yoga class or taking a yoga class or doing a yoga practice a couple times a week, there's benefit, no doubt, but it's limited how far that can go. And the practice of yoga is meant to be a way of life. And that doesn't mean that you have to move into an ashram or take some kind of vows like Asokananda and I have taken. It simply means that you look for ways to integrate the teachings and practice of yoga into the daily life. When you intentionally create a lifestyle that encourages you to be reflecting, to learn from what you're experiencing, to practice regularly. Let me think of the elements of a spiritual lifestyle. One of them would be to have some kind of regular spiritual practice, like a meditation practice, even if it's a short time, but a daily practice. That would be one element. Another would be to purify your system with a healthy diet. Another would be an attempt to recognize when you're getting so attached to something that you're suffering from it, to anything like a possession, like an achievement or a goal. When we're too attached, we actually ruin our efforts, right? We make ourselves anxious. We get too invested in the outcome and actually creates an obstacle to achieving what we're trying to achieve. When we are too attached even to another person, we can't really love them in an unconditional way, right? Because we're too much wanting something from that relationship. We're coming from a needy place, from an I-centered place instead of a we-centered place. Right? So a part of a spiritual lifestyle is to observe where we're really attracted to something in an unhealthy way and where we're running away from things in an unhealthy way. Right? The Yoga Sutras talk about that as wanting something too much and not wanting other things too much. We learn to develop a more neutral relationship to things, and what you could call an independent sense of contentment. It's not independent, meaning it's not dependent on what happens. And that's a challenge. That's a challenge. Just the other day, I was so frustrated by something that was happening with our bank. Our bank, some of the residents here know about this. Our bank was transitioning by being purchased by another bigger bank, right? And so it made it more difficult to accomplish some things that we wanted to. And we were having problems with our credit card and opening a new account. I got so frustrated by that. But
it was completely frustrating.
It was very frustrating. Yeah. Residents know because I was talking to everybody about it. But the good thing is that I noticed that. So I saw, wow, look at that. Look how I'm getting so frustrated over something that really I can't do anything about. And it doesn't help. All the frustration doesn't help, doesn't do any good. If I would get angry at the people at the bank, that would make it even worse. So even though I had to grit my teeth, I managed to be nice and say, okay, I understand. And then they really did try to help me. And the people in our local branch did help me out with it. But that's part of a spiritual lifestyle, is willing to accept the challenges that come as opportunities to grow, to see them that way. I've had this thought before, that when I plan my day, and I would guess this is true for many people, when I plan my day or my week, I envision smooth sailing. I'll take care of this, I'll take care of that, this will happen, I'll say that, I'll take care of this, everything flowing. The universe, I've come to understand, the universe is not interested in smooth sailing. Not at all. Like what good does that do? There's no lesson learned from that. Right? The universe seems to be interested in waking us up. Right? So the universe easily provides plenty of problems, plenty of obstacles. But if we understand that, right, as a part of a spiritual lifestyle, right, then we don't immediately get upset by these challenges, or we don't get upset for too long, right? We see that this is just another opportunity to learn. What a beautiful attitude. It's actually a particular principle in the yama and niyama that Asokananda referred to, called tapas, right? Acceptance of suffering, acceptance of pain, or intentional self-discipline is a kind of pain that we willingly take on for ourselves as a part of our intention to grow, right, to learn. So it's a practice, and right next to it, in the list of the niyama, is the practice of santosha, or contentment. I love that those two are right next to each other. Right? On one hand, a willingness to accept pain as a part of spiritual growth. On the other hand, to be content with what is. They beautifully support each other. So we have this kind of spiritual lifestyle that's intentional. It enables us to encounter these obstacles in a much more balanced and healthy way, and to grow much more quickly. So we can grow the hard way, right? Which is just go full steam ahead, ego-driven, and get knocked down by life. Or we can really cultivate a spiritual lifestyle that enables us to go through these challenges in an easier way, to awaken those strengths a little more step by step with intention. I think of an example of this, a story that I heard many years ago. I don't remember it that clearly. And some of you may have heard me tell this story before. Asokananda and I both have lived at our ashram in Virginia, where it's a residential center where they do teacher trainings. He was there just recently. And the story is of a woman who would go there frequently to help at the teacher training programs at our ashram in Virginia. She lives maybe 3 hours away, and she was asked to come staff one of the teacher training programs that was training yoga teachers to teach yoga to cancer patients. So it's a specialized training for yoga teachers. And she was asked, would you come and help staff that program? That means help out, make copies, run errands, drive the van down to Lotus for meditation, any number of things for staffing a program like that. So she agreed, and she arranged her schedule ahead of time. She came a few days early to get herself settled in so that she could be of assistance to this program. But then when the trainer came, the person who was in charge of leading the training came and heard that this woman was going to be on the staff to help out, she said, no, I can only have staff members who've already taken my program. And this woman has never taken the program, so I can't really use her. So the people who live in Virginia at the ashram that asked this woman to come, they felt terrible. She arranged her whole life around it. She came there, but now they're being told that she can't really serve that way. So they told this woman, I don't know what she felt when she first was told. I can imagine how frustrating it may be to arrange your life, come all the way there, and then hear, no, it turns out we made a mistake. But the next day, the leader of the program met this person at the dining hall and reiterated.
By accident or on purpose?
I think they just ran into each other. And I think that the trainer, it was Yanni Chapman, Asokananda. I think she felt bad also that this had happened, and she apologized. I'm sorry that they asked you to come here, but I only can use people that have helped before, have taken my program before. So I don't remember the name of this person, but her response to Yanni Chapman was, that's okay, I understand. But if you want, I'll hang around for a few days just in case I can be helpful. Because I might be able to do things, you never know what might come up. So when Yanni heard that kind of reaction, the trainer, he thought for a moment, he said, I think I could really use a person with that attitude. Somebody says that responds with that kind of selfless intention that you're willing to wait a few more days. Because otherwise you could have run off home in a huff, right? So as it turned out, the reason I remember the story, because as it turned out, this woman did begin to help at the program, but not only help, she attended the program, right? So she ended up taking the training and helping out in between sessions and whenever something was needed. And what makes me remember the story, though, is that when the program ended, this woman went back to her home near Washington, D.C., and found out that her cousin had just had just been diagnosed with cancer. So by her attitude of acceptance to what seemed like a big mistake, a big inconvenience, she ended up taking this training without paying for it as a staff member. And now she was ready to assist her cousin that was beloved to her as a yoga teacher who knew what to offer to a cancer patient. To me, that's such a great example. You can see things as terrible, as wrong. You can point your finger at other people. Look what you did to me. Right? It's so easy to do that. But the universe has also given you this as an opportunity to learn something, right? And maybe something that you really need to learn. So maybe that other person is just a hand, an instrument in the divine plan. But it's so easy to make them the enemy, right? The bad guy that put you in that situation. It's a tough thing to handle. But that's one of the benefits of an intentional spiritual lifestyle, where you begin to think of things this way. I know I'm getting a question from someone that's here in the room with me. So I'll take that question, and then we can also see if any of you have a comment or a question you want to make.
Did you finish what you wanted to say, Ramana?
I think that's good for now.
Okay. What an amazing presentation. I have all my copious notes. That was great. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'll see if something, and you also, Asokananda, see if something else bubbles up. But let's see if there are questions or comments. Go ahead, Sid.
So
Dharma here.
so there's a expression, everything happens for a reason. So is this an example of that?
Say so.
You believe in that?
You know, I would say that I generally believe in that. I wouldn't worry about trying to find a reason behind everything that happens. What happens in our world, in our lives, is so vast. It's a much bigger picture than we can ever see with our limited vision. So I wouldn't worry about trying to be able to identify that. I think it's a good general belief because it helps us, it encourages us to have this attitude of acceptance rather than resistance. One teacher, I think it's Stephen Levine, a Buddhist teacher. I remember him saying, "Suffering is resistance to what is." Very simple statement, but profound. As soon as you resist what already is, it's too late to hope that it won't be there or that it doesn't come. It's already there. What is? Suffering is resistance to that. So it might be painful, but on top of that pain, if you resist it, you resist the pain, you fight the pain, you make it worse. As soon as you accept it. So I think it's a good general attitude that there's a reason, and rather than fighting with what happens, what can I learn from it? There's almost always something to learn. But not always. Sometimes you can't see what you're supposed to learn. But if you believe that in general, that probably I'm going to learn something eventually, maybe if I can't even see it, I think it can be helpful. I have a couple more questions in the room here with me.
I just have a comment.
Okay.
Can I respond to Dharma's question?
Yes, please go ahead, Ashokananda.
Yeah. Because yesterday at our New York ashram we had a satsang, and we were talking about mistakes, and I'm not a big believer in randomness. I know some people believe that everything's happening randomly. I don't see it that way. I think that it's just when we say does it happen for a reason, I think what we call reason is not, we can't comprehend what reason really is. There's such a complexity of karmas that's unfolding. So if you believe, like the Quran says, that not even a leaf blows without the will of Allah, then did I make a mistake, or is that how it had to unfold? And there's a reason that it had to unfold that way. I don't have to make that mistake again. That doesn't mean I should make the same mistake, but we're getting to this topic of free will, and that's a very complex topic. But I really enjoyed your answer, but I would just take a little harder line. Yes, everything happens for a reason, and we can't understand the reason most of the time. Yeah.
Thank you. So I have a few hands here in the room with me, and I also see Daniel has his hand raised. So I'll try to call on people so that we keep some order here.
I just have a quick comment.
Go ahead, Isabel.
I know for me, I truly believe that.
Let me wait 1 second. Sure. Can you hear her? She's this woman in the room with me.
They repeat the question after she asks it.
I think those of you in the room, if you're going to speak, probably come a little closer to the microphone.
Hi, for myself, whenever I'm going about the day and things are going smoothly, and then all of a sudden a monkey wrench gets thrown in, the first thing I think to myself is like, of course it feels painful on sometimes, but the the thing that I go to right away is what am I being offered to learn here?
Hmm.
And not get, because I also used to recently started to try to map out what I was supposed to learn, like, oh, this happened because, and then like you're saying, Swami Ramananda, I drop that and I just go, okay, whatever I'm supposed to leave, let me just stay open and have acceptance and breathe and keep self-compassion alive here.
Hmm.
And sure enough, something always gets learned, and I'm so grateful for that, instead of resisting the flow of the river.
Hmm.
Thank you. Jackie, why don't you come closer?
Sure.
So one more person here in the room with me, and then we'll take the hands that are raised online.
So my question has to do with the laws of nature. Are there laws of nature that really, that we need to align with? Laws of around physical laws, around resistance and flow, such as with currents. I mean, this has to do with a belief or a contention that there's certain intelligence in the world, and maybe there isn't, or maybe there is. And how do we prove that what Swami Ramananda and Swami Asokananda are saying is really true? I mean, is it just true for them? Is it true for all of us? Can it be? And what anchors us into these ideas? So the converse of that is to think that there is no intelligence, and that we're just thrown into it, and this is it. All we've got is the moment, and then there's just chaos. And that's easy to believe, because as we look around to the world, there is a lot of chaos. So I guess the question is about where is the divine intelligence, and how do we know that that's what the real deal is?
Thanks, Jackie. Asokananda, do you have any thoughts about that?
I haven't latched on a good answer. I'm not totally clear about the question. So why don't you start? I'll see if something comes to me.
So, Jackie, the woman named Jackie here, one of our Sangha members, kind of wandered around a little bit, but one of the things that got my attention is it true for everyone? Is it true just for us? How do we know that's true? In a way, this law of karma, it's a very difficult thing to understand. It's vast, and Asokananda referred to it that way. If that is some kind of universal law, then how do we know that? And how can you prove that? You know, in circumstances where groups of people experience things together, how does that work? Asokananda said it. It's so complex. It's impossible for the limited mind to grasp the vastness of that big picture. In the same way that, I mean, just think of it, in the same way that we can only see this little piece of the earth that we're on, but we understand that it's vast. And what we see is the sun traveling across the sky while we stand still. But we know that's not actually true, right? Our limited vision can't really comprehend these vast principles, but they're shared from the wisdom of many different traditions. Asokananda referred to the Quran. many different sources of wisdom give us this spirit, these kind of spiritual principles. And if we trust in those sources, that's one source. And the other way, I think we can witness it in a small scale in our personal lives. You know, I know that if I eat the wrong thing, I get a stomach ache. That I've been able to verify numerous times. And I've seen how if I lash out at someone in irritation with my words, I end up feeling bad about it, and end up I can't really rest until I apologize for that, because I see, yeah, that was my own selfish thinking that caused me to do that, and point the finger at them and blame them, when actually I'm just as much a part of this situation or more. So I've just witnessed that in my personal life, it seems to hold true. In many instances that I can acknowledge. And one of the things that you mentioned, Jackie, was, where is this intelligence? I think it is, I think it's dormant inside of us. And we've seen from the saints of many traditions that when they awaken these strengths, that's the kind of thing they come in touch with. They get in touch with this bigger picture, and they're able to see the world of all its forms from a spiritual perspective, a different perspective. They're able to see the light, or they're able to see, I think Master Shivananda said it, the unity behind the diversity. So even in the most evil person, they're able to see the spiritual light that dwells in that person. And when you see the light, the divine in another person, even if they're irritating you, you can't help but have compassion for them, because you know their true nature. The same with ourselves. We can't be totally down on ourselves if we really know that there is that spiritual light within us that we need to take care of, that we need to make space.
I would, the thing that I latched onto was all we have is this moment. The people who don't believe in any, you believe in the randomness of things, there's no intelligence guiding things. I would say people who do believe in the higher intelligence also, all we have is this moment, whether you believe that there's a God or not. I think we can all hold on to that. All we have is this moment.
Mm. Mm.
Maybe I could just offer a dovetail on that, which is that I have a dear, beloved, extreme jnana yogi in my family who needs to have this principle of everything happens for a reason. And I need to know what that reason is as everything unfolds in my life. So the only thing I would say to that, as I've watched it play out over the decades, is there a level of contentment? Are you progressing? Or is it just like the ego gets fed by trying to figure everything out, and the ego gets fed by trying to feel like it has some control by figuring it all out?
Point.
Yeah, and the other thing that, to use Ashokananda's term, latched on to me was this image of that dutiful servant to the king, who was somebody who always answered, "Is that so?" So he got accused of things, "Is that so?" Or he got, some other kind of an opposite, he got praised, "Is that so?" As a way of not succumbing to any reaction of any specific reaction. That was like the default answer. Is that so? Is that so? That's really appealing to me. Thank you.
Daniel's had his hand raised for a while. Go ahead, Daniel. Let's hear from you. And then I see Pushma de Maria and Jess also. But go ahead, Daniel.
Can't hear you, Daniel. You're not muted, but there's no, can't hear you. Now you're muted. We can't hear you. Now you're unmuted. Say something? No. All right, well, maybe there's a higher intelligence that.
Could be the volume,
Yeah, on his
could be
device.
the volume on your device, Daniel.
Is anyone else able to speak? Is it his computer or is it a system?
Yeah, let's see. Okay.
We were hearing other people speak.
Did we? Just
I haven't heard it. I see some people talking, but
Well,
no,
Asokananda's been speaking to us.
they're a co-host, might
Mhm.
something.
So, Daniel, see if you can get that fixed and then we can hear from you. But maybe, I see Pushpa and Jess, do you want to unmute and? speak?
Hello, can you hear us?
Sure.
Can you hear- Okay, good. I wanted to say, when you were talking about, by the way, I'm really enjoying everything that was shared this morning. Thank you so much. What we resist persists. I remember my sister's husband taught me that in the 70s, that if we resist something, it will just simply persist. And boy, can I see that in my own life. We had to apply so many principles in this move. It was unbelievable. I mean, truly unbelievable. I was thinking about you living in one room in the ashram, and I was going, oh, I wish it was us, because stuff and all that, it taught us there were so many lessons in letting go, just letting go, letting go. And how would I try soft and not hard? I would consciously breathe, consciously, and tune in to what I gave time to listen to.
Wow, nice.
Definitely.
Definitely. And I cannot tell you how I feel like I'm at home right now. In the home, just being with all of you.
Aye, great.
Jai, Pushpa, and Jess. Thank you.
Shy. Oh my God. So grateful. Thank you.
Any comments, Asokananda?
Yeah, I've known Pushpa and Jess for a number of years, and they really have used the challenges of their lives as a spiritual practice. What you said about tapas Ramananda, they used it to purify themselves along the way. And I know that the struggles haven't been easy, but here they are enjoying the satsang, and they have a nice roof over their head, and things are working out for them. I'm so happy with them.
I have a little bit of an attachment. I know I wrote you like a 10-page letter. Did you ever
Yeah.
get it on binder?
Yeah,
I read it when I landed here and I went, I have to do this.
yeah. I did read it, every word of it carefully. I haven't had a chance to respond yet.
Okay, it's okay. I
Probably
just want
more
to know you.
succinctly. Yeah.
Please,
Thanks.
please, I send love with you as you see your mother tomorrow.
Okay, thanks
Mhm.
for that.
We did a lot of caregiving. Mhm.
Oh, I can imagine.
There's someone named Isha that
Isha.
has her hand raised. You want to comment or ask a question?
Yeah, hi. Thank you for a wonderful satsang. I had a question about knowing when to let go versus keep trying.
Versus keep trying?
When have you just not tried enough, and when is it time to let go? I mean, the pull and push of that.
Hmm. Wow, what a great question. Let me see if I have it. When to keep trying and when to know when it's time to let go.
Hmm. Pretty different. Hmm.
I wish I had a smart answer for that.
Hmm.
Well, if you're stubborn like me, you'll keep trying until you almost don't have any choice anymore.
Hmm.
There's no way to try any further. Like Ramananda said, hopefully we don't have to wait till we hit rock bottom before we use some of these teachings. We don't wait till the planet's on fire before we start address global warming, hopefully. And my own global warming, my internal global warming, I hope I don't have to wait until the tapas has fried me to a crisp before I say, I trust you. I'm letting go now.
One thought that comes to my mind is
Yeah.
Gurudev used to say, plan pending approval.
Say that
So-
again. Sorry. What did you say?
He used to have many playful sayings, and one of them was plan pending approval.
Okay. Okay.
Pending approval.
As
I
you
got it.
embark on some effort, don't be invested that it must happen, that everything depends on that. Right? That's an unhealthy approach. So that's one thing that's helpful is to go into something, keep doing your best in good faith, but also listening to the messages that come to you.
Mhm.
And if the message keeps coming that this is wrong or this is not going to happen, then let go. The challenge is to discriminate between the voice inside of your head that's attached to something,
Mhm.
right? That's where the real challenge comes. If you can see that you're holding on in an unhealthy way to something that's just not meant to be, right?
Mhm.
So that means you have to have a little perspective. You have to a little bit of parent attitude toward your own mind. You see what I mean? Like the parent has to discern for the child, this is not good for you. Even though you want it, it's not good for you. So in a way, we have to watch our own minds like that and see, am I just holding on? Or the other way around, am I just afraid and I'm gonna let go too early because I'm just afraid of failing. Right?
Mm. Right.
Sometimes we should give our all. It feels like the right thing, and we shouldn't give up, even though it's a little scary. Right? So we have to discern between that which wants to just be comfortable and when our effort really feels like it's aligned with the divine will.
Sure. In the Mahabharata, there's a story of Draupadi getting stripped in this public forum. This strong guy, she has a hold of her sari, and he's pulling. You know that story?
Yes. Yes.
And she's holding on for dear life and saying, Krishna, help me. This is going to be a disaster. I'll be naked in front of all these people. And he's easily pulling it. And she's saying, Krishna. And then at some point she says, you know what? I don't have the strength to stop this man. And this is beautiful painting. I still get tears in my eyes when I see this painting. She just throws up both her hands and just says, Krishna. She had to hold on for dear life as long as she could, and to realize that dear life wasn't going to be enough. Krishna. And Krishna starts pushing cloth down. The guy can't strip her. Another example Gurudev gives is you're holding a hot potato. It's really hot. It's hot. I think I'm really starting to feel uncomfortable. Should I let it go? It's starting to get real hot. At a certain point, you don't wonder, do I let it go or not? You go, whoa. There's no question about it. I think use a little more crude example. You might wonder, should I go to the toilet? I think I'm gonna wait till the satsang. I don't think I have to go to the toilet. At a certain point, there's no question. Where's the toilet? I gotta get to the toilet. Satsang, satsang. Goodbye, Swamis.
It's interesting. It's interesting. Discern. What's the right thing? What feels like it's
Yeah. All these examples don't quite tell us, well, when is it too hot? I'm not sure, you know.
But being willing to be guided makes a big difference. So that you're not just being guided by your fear or your stubborn attachment to getting what you want, but you're allowing yourself to tune into what feels right on a deeper level.
Meditation, through meditation.
Meditation, meditation helps.
Yeah, for sure. What a great question. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Wonderful answers. Thank you.
Thank you. We have 9 more minutes.
Can you hear me?
I think I hear someone. I don't know
Me,
who it is.
Daniel.
Oh, yeah, we can. Yeah.
You hear me now? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Hello. Finally, hello. I was trying to let go of not getting on here, but I managed to be here anyway. Firstly, to Pushpa and Jess, I've seen you often in the past, but not for a long time. I'm glad to see you again. And to the both of you, whom I've known forever, it seems, I have to tell you that it's not questions here, although I have plenty of them, but not for now. You've been mainstays for me. I don't know where I would be without the yoga, without integral yoga. It would be another world. I can't even imagine what that might be. It might be great, but this is the world I'm in, and you're in it with me, and I'm so grateful for that. It's a pleasure to see you both together. You sparkle like gems. You're just glorious to look at and glorious to listen to, and I appreciate that. One of my regrets, let's call it, is that I never immersed myself into yoga as completely as either of you have done, or as many people do. But I've gone just so far, and I've always felt, and I may have shared this with you before, that I have 1 foot in and 1 foot out, never fully there, which speaks to the entirety of my life, not just the yoga aspect of it. But the fact that I have the 1 foot in is a blessing in and of itself, because at least I'm partly there. And having you as resources has been glorious for me. Ramananda, you may not remember this, but you gave me my mantra, I don't know how many years ago, a long time ago. And I want to say that January 9th, you began the San Francisco, I'm in New York, by the way, everyone, the San Francisco meditation challenge, and which I attended for those 21 days straight. And then I've been doing it every day since. And that is wonderful. So thank you for that. And Asokananda, whom I've known since, I don't know when, since the late 70s. Well, what can I say to you that you don't already know? Thank you, both of you. You've been, I can't tell you how important. And something important for me this week has happened, which was a letting go. I was supposed to do a flea market today in Manhattan, and it was canceled because of rain, which now is beginning to happen, but all day long it was quite sunny. In any event, in preparation for this flea market, I had to assemble all the stuff I wanted to get rid of. So I was doing that, and as I was doing that, and I gave myself a lot of time, which I never do, usually it's the day before, to pack when I'm going somewhere, flea market stuff, or to make a journey across the waters. I wait till the last minute. This time I didn't. And as I was getting my things gathered to sell, I also was going through all of my other stuff, which is plenty, years of accumulation of things, and sorting them out so that I can begin to work with that group of stuff and release them from my life. Because this is the time when, if I don't let go now, I'm never going to let go. next year, I'm going to be 80 years old. So I'm older than both of you, and yet I think of myself as your kid brother. And I look to you for that. And again, my heart bursts with joy seeing you and hearing you and being with you. Thank you. Om Shanti.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you,
Thank
Dan.
you. Thank you.
Anyone else have a question? I know some of you may be a little shy to ask, but we could take one more question if somebody has something.
Erica has something. Go ahead, Erica. You can unmute yourself.
Hello, Swami Ramananda, and hello, Swami Asokananda.
Hello. Are you in Germany now?
We are in Germany. Yes,
Okay.
yes, almost 9:30 in the evening.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Oh,
9:30 your time.
Yes, was just wonderful, of course. And the question you say about trying soft, what it means to us,
Mm.
it has been very beautiful because it's a topic for now and these days for me, because I also tend to try too hard. And I noticed, or what I've been doing is like sometimes to touch myself softly with my hand. I don't know if it's in the throat because I'm singing, or if I put somewhere a hand to remember I can do this without too much effort, being too hard. It's very helpful to put a hand softly on a part of my body.
Wow. What a good thought.
And I was really smiling when you put this question out, because I had been struggling when I'm doing too hard, and it's helping me.
Erica's an amazing opera singer. Are you doing opera anymore or not?
I will say I'm a classical singer.
Okay, classical singer. Okay, yeah.
Yes, I'm still singing.
Okay. I'll have to remember that. Just touch yourself, like you would touch a baby or something. Gently touch yourself. Yeah.
In a way, it's something we can learn from practicing asana in the right way. Our asana practice is meant to teach us to be mindful and listen to what the body needs rather than impose on the body what we'd like it to do. So that's what makes an advanced practitioner, someone who can really tune in and listen and find the right balance.
Yeah, you can learn a lot about trying hard and trying soft and how you practice your hatha yoga.
I see Pushpa and Jess have the hand raised again. Maybe briefly.
Hi, yes. Hi there. I was just going to sort of chime into some of our general thoughts, and I was reminded of more recently now I've been seeking new employment, and things I've been kind of hitting some walls on a direction I was going, and then I had some good reading material, and I said, oh, and I sort of turned down the volume. I turned down the desire. And, a couple days later, I got this great lead that I'm on to now. And so, I don't know, I'm just relating to that thought about, pushing till you get what you want. But it seems that being into more of a surrender mode and, turning down that knob seems to have created a new opportunity.
Wow. Okay, may it happen for you. Best wishes that you'd be used very well in the universe.
Beautiful example.
Yeah. Closing chat?
Yes, I think we're at our ending time. You want to lead us in a close chant Ashokanandaji?
Sure. Let's sit comfortably. We don't have to think about everything that transpired, but feel it's seeping in on some level. The teachings, plus just the company, and how it was a valuable hour and a half that we spent together. Asato ma sadgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Lead us from unreal to real. Lead us from darkness to the light. Lead us from the fear of death to knowledge of immortality. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May the entire universe be filled with peace and joy, love and light. May the light of truth overcome all darkness. Victory to that light. Jai Shri Satsang Maharaj Ki Jai. Thank you all. Thank you, Ramanandaji. What a joy to be with you and all our brothers and sisters. Thank you so much.
Here. Great to see so many friends from all over. Makes me want to see you in person.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
everyone. Thank you, Swami. Wonderful. Bye.
Ramananda.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Ramananda. Thank you, Asokananda.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.